Much peace to everybody, namaste to you all and welcome. Today's topic is pain and suffering and really how to deal with your own pain and your own suffering. Now, what I'm realizing in my own journey is the fact that pain and suffering is a natural thing, okay? So we as humans, we also sometimes need to allow ourselves to be in pain, okay? We also need to allow ourselves to be in a low vibration maybe, because the contrast would be a high vibration. And from my perspective, we wouldn't know what the good is without the bad, okay? We wouldn't know what the positive is without the negative. So I'm seeing that we need both, okay? And I'm seeing that some of us, we may go through spiritual crisis, we may go through dark night of the soul, we may go through low vibrations. But in this process, we realize that we also need to learn from our own suffering. We also need to learn from our own shadows, okay? So I'm seeing in my own self that, yes, I'm not perfect. And sometimes I'm going through a lot of thought patterns that maybe are not serving me. But what I'm realizing is the fact that I get to actually learn a lot from these things. I get to learn a lot from these things. I get to know things about myself. And really, with pain and suffering, you have the opportunity to really heal yourself and get to mature yourself at a spiritual level. You get to have the spiritual maturity to no longer run away from your negative feelings. And what I'm seeing is the fact that in today's world, so many of us, we are going for the dopamine rush, okay? And this dopamine rush actually gives us a positive vibe, but for a short duration. And what I'm seeing is the fact that self-control is necessary. Okay, so self-control is necessary. You really need to learn to not only seek the positive feeling, you also need to learn to deal with your own negative feelings, you know? You also need to deal with your imperfections. You also need to learn to transmute and transform the negative feeling. So in essence, you also need to learn to accept a negative feeling. That is so important. And I'm seeing in myself that sometimes it's really rough to accept the negative feeling, but it needs to be accepted, okay? So in essence, we need both. We need the positive and we also need the negative. And we need to actually love ourselves in the process. You know, we need to love ourselves in the process. Because if we don't have a good relationship with our own inner world, we don't have a good relationship with life either, okay? So in essence, get to master what is happening within yourself. That is so important. Because by correspondence, as within, so without, okay? So also get to learn to accept even your own shadows, okay? Because you need both. You need the light, but sometimes you also need the dark, okay? And I'm realizing that with self-control, we have the power to heal ourselves, okay? With self-control, we have the power to become stronger emotionally, mentally, and physically, and also spiritually, okay? So in essence, it's all about the connection that you have with your own self. It's all about the connection that you have with your own state of consciousness. And you have to really make a deeper connection with your true self-expression, okay? And sometimes you need to maybe express what you feel. You need to express how you feel, you know? You need to really be your authentic self. And I'm realizing that I don't have to be perfect in the process. I don't have to be perfect. And I'm not perfect, and that is actually an okay thing, okay? So in essence, it's all about getting to know myself based on the patterns that are happening within my own state of consciousness. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's not easy to be your best version. Sometimes it's not easy to do the work maybe, okay? It's not easy to have the self-control, but it is necessary, okay? So you need to work on yourself, and sometimes it gets so rough. Sometimes it feels like we are going through crisis. It feels like we are going through death and rebirth, you know? And the process is not easy, especially in the spiritual journey. So many of us, we are experiencing the dark night of the soul. And what we need to learn in this process is the fact that the only way out is in. Okay, so you have to look within yourself, you have to meditate, you have to really be in alignment with your own inner world. You have to be responsible for what you think, what you feel, and what you do. And I'm realizing that in this process, dealing with the shadow is so important, and loving yourself is also so important. Okay, so you have to accept unaccepted parts about yourself. You know, you have to really go as deep as possible into your own psyche, into your own emotional field, and get to improve these things, get to heal these things, get to really love yourself in the process. Okay, so remember, suffering and pain maybe are necessary for our soul's evolution. And when it gets rough, keep trusting the process. Keep trusting the process, because you will get there. You will get into the state of consciousness that is meant for your soul. And maybe your soul gives you challenges. Maybe your higher self gives you challenges in order for you to evolve, you know, in order for you to really get to improve your inner world, in order for you to really become your best version in the process. Okay, so remember, bipolarity, we wouldn't understand what positive is without negative. So when you are feeling negative, when you are feeling that you are in a crisis, remember that it is the contrast for happiness. Okay, so when you accept the sadness, you will open the space for happiness. Okay, and maybe you don't even have to chase happiness. Maybe you have to let it come to you instead. Okay, so don't force anything. Okay, don't force anything, and follow your own rhythm. You know, follow your own rhythm, follow your own flow of consciousness, and see what happens, you know. So yeah, suffering sometimes is necessary, and as humans we are not perfect. As humans we go through suffering. As humans we are testing ourselves based on suffering maybe. Okay, so we are realizing that it's all a process where we need to heal ourselves. It's all a process where we need to really unblock stuck energy. It's all a process where we are releasing the pain. And really, when the pain is coming out of your emotional body, you may feel it more deeply. Okay, so you may feel it more intense, and it's rough sometimes, but it needs to be accepted. You need to really unblock your consciousness. You need to really open the space for higher vibrations to come in. But it takes practice, it takes self-love, it takes self-knowledge, it takes self-responsibility. Okay, so remember, whatever you are feeling, that is so important, but you also need to learn to deal with your own negative feelings. It's not always about the positive feeling. It's more likely about learning to accept also the negative feeling. And what I'm seeing is the fact that when the negative feeling is accepted, it can also be transmuted and transcended into a more balanced and more connected state of consciousness. Okay, so if you're going through suffering, I feel you. Me, sometimes I also go through suffering as well. And I'm realizing that it only opens the space for higher vibrations to come in. It only opens the space for higher energies to come in. It opens the space for authenticity to come in. Okay, so I'm realizing that the work that I need to do is with my own inner world. The work that I need to do is with my own self. I'm realizing that I don't have to change anybody. I'm realizing that the only person that I need to change is myself. So do the work with yourself. Do the work with your own inner world and see what happens. Okay, because in essence your life is happening in relationship with you. It's all happening in relationship with you. Okay, choose to expand you and the other people will expand as well, because in essence we're all one consciousness. When somebody grows, everybody grows. Okay, so do the work on yourself and get to really accept yourself even in your lowest moments, because someone said that in your darkest moments you become illuminated. Okay, so I'm seeing that suffering also makes me stronger. Okay, so when I'm feeling suffering, it's like I'm getting to strengthen myself, I'm getting to become more wise in the process. I'm getting to also learn to deal with my own negative feelings, and even if it's not perfect, I can always make it to be in alignment. Okay guys, so thanks so much for watching, and this was today's message on how to deal with your own pain and suffering. I feel you, and it's okay to experience what you are experiencing, because in essence it's all happening with a higher purpose. Okay, the universe never gives you more than you can handle. The universe always gives you what you need for your soul's best evolution. I love you so much, much peace, and see you on what is coming up next. Bye bye.